Okay, so I would like to welcome everyone to the last candidate forum for mayor. And yay,
Hey.
we're almost there.
It's only been a year.
Yeah, just 12 good months.
Yeah. So we had a little problem with Facebook. It wouldn't let us go live, so we're recording this and we'll post it immediately afterwards. But I want to get started. We have already divvied out, chosen cards on how we're going to play this out. We're going to start a little bit different with this one because we're down to a runoff. It's just the two of you, so I want it to be about you and what you want to say, okay? More than what any other question that we can come up with, although I do have a couple for you. But I'd like to start with opening statements, so if you want to throw a card out on who goes first.
That's a good card, man.
Ace.
All right,
Yes.
so there you go.
Ace. Hi, just real quick. My name's Brent Newsom, candidate for mayor. I've been on our current city council for the last 8 years. I'm excited to continue that path and move up to a mayor. A little bit about myself. I grew up here in Mansfield. Our family moved here originally in '74. I'm married to my wife, Michelle, of 22 years. We have two wonderful children, Madison and Reagan, who also went to school here. We made the choice, even though when we first had our first daughter, we weren't living in Mansfield. We definitely made the choice to get back here as soon as we could. Other than that, I don't really have anything else. Like I said, I'm really excited about continuing this path of community service. It's truly important to me. It's been something that's been instilled in me from my family for years. So that's really about it. So, thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Michael Evans. I am Lisa's husband, 33 years. I have two adult sons, and I'm a grandfather now. I've got a 17-month-old grandbaby, Miss Riley Rose. And listen, I have been involved in a 31-year love affair here. I'm in love with Mansfield and the citizens here in Mansfield, and it has become a part of my DNA. I've served 29 years as the pastor at the Bethlehem Baptist Church, and in those years it has involved community and economic development service and work. I have also served 13 years as a public official. I was chosen 3 times to serve on our MISD, Mansfield Independent School District, and I was the president of 2 of those terms. And after that, after a 10-year stint, I was elected to serve with Tarrant County College. And that's been a joy as well for these past 3.5 years. I'm running because I want to continue, if you would, our upward trajectory. I think that the city of Mansfield is growing. We are located in what I like to call the garden spot of DFW. We are in that place now where when you live in Mansfield or you work in Mansfield or you play in Mansfield, you're in that central area. You can get to Dallas in 30 to 40 minutes. You can get to Fort Worth in the same. And of course, we share the southern border with Arlington. I also want to serve because I think that if you choose me, you will be giving me the opportunity to bring some of the experience that I've had as fiscal conservative, working and serving as a steward of the taxpayers' dollars and putting it to good use. We do have the top-notch independent school district, I believe, in the state of Texas, and I know that. We have one of the top-notch, one of the best in the country, college districts in Tarrant County College. And it's good to be a part of teams like that. And I want to bring that to the cityscape. I've been blessed with the opportunity to serve with those boards. We lowered the tax rate twice. We did it with MISD, and we also did it with Tarrant County College. And we did not have to lay off a soul. So I think that that's the way that we should do things here in the city of Mansfield. And again, I look forward to serving you and look forward to this discussion. And I appreciate Laura for inviting us and also for Mr. Newsom being a good person to run with and run against.
Okay. I want to focus the conversation on future. And I believe that we are in this shift into a 4th industrial revolution. And with that comes massive change.
Yes.
And I would like for you guys to discuss how this potential future massive change can impact and affect a city and what we need to be doing today in order to be ready for that change.
All right.
And if you'll draw a card on who's going to answer that question first, please.
Ty.
It's a tie.
Oh, okay, one more.
Well, I went first, so.
You want to, okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you, buddy. You know, in regard to the future of this city, and now we are living in the middle of a pandemic, and of course that has brought about changes and shifts. I think it says a lot about us. We've learned, some of us kicking and screaming, that we're going to have to be more savvy in regard to technology and otherwise. I think that also will speak to a strategy that needs to be developed regarding our own growth as a city and the kind of jobs and kind of industry that we attract here to Mansfield. So I think that all of that makes a difference. For several years, we have primarily in regard to the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation, we've primarily given attention to industrial jobs and manufacturing. However, what we see is that doesn't quite match up with maybe what our identity might be now. So I think that, you know, before we can really talk about a future, we have to go through a visioning process. Mr. Newsom and also Randall Kennedy is here. Both of these guys are my bankers. So and I've gone to them for money, you know, through the church. And one of the things that I do know is that in their industry, I cannot go to them asking for dollars without having a mission, vision, value statement. I've got to have a business plan. I think that in order for Mansfield to maximize and to utilize the tax dollars here of our citizenry, I'm one of them, that we need to do that. We need to have that vision. So I think that we need to first develop that vision statement. That comes by working with our citizens. And I'm happy to hear that there's a survey going on in town. So I just want to say to those who are listening, please participate in that because we want to hear from you, number one. Number two, you take that information, put it together with the council, city manager and staff, and then we start talking about where we want to go. We develop our identity. And then after we develop our identity, then we'll know exactly what we need to do. But I know this, I know that we don't want to be a community where $9, $10 an hour, $12 an hour jobs will be able to necessarily have a place to live because we don't have that here in Mansfield. So it needs to be more data. It needs to be more tech. It needs to be medical technology and otherwise. And these are the kind of companies I believe that in a partnership we need to work toward in order to make that happen here in Mansfield in this new paradigm, this new model in which we're living in now.
Yeah, one of the things I think is really imperative that we understand when we're talking about diversification of our businesses within inside the city of Mansfield is not only when we're talking about attracting, high tech or different types of industry, where if we're moving away from what our traditional base has been in our industrial park, that is more geared towards industrial types of businesses. You need to also have an understanding that not only are you bringing in those businesses, but from the citizen's perspective, the tax value associated with a tech industry or employer-driven businesses versus industry-driven businesses is you actually even have, besides for the ad valorem taxes, you actually even have personal property taxes, which is associated with the equipment and pieces that are used to handle the manufacturing piece. So that you need to continue to, from that perspective, have that balance. I 100% agree. We have in the past focused a little bit, maybe too heavily on the industrial piece. We need to work with our partners, not only at the local level, but even at the county and the state level, to figure out what it is that Mansfield can do to through our EDC to attract those types of businesses. Because one, on the development side, we got to know that, okay, well, if we're going to attract those Class A office towers to bring in those types of jobs, what are those employers looking for? And it's imperative that we have a really distinct plan, because not only are they looking to locate in a wonderful city that Mansfield is, because we have wonderful parks, we have a wonderful school district. Those types of things are imperative when a business is looking to relocate. I mean, I've been fortunate to attend many events, even in one of our sister cities, Fort Worth, in talking and being part of their economic development program, fortunately through my employer, looking at what businesses look at to relocate to a city. And they look at a wide variety of opportunities. They're not only looking at what's attractive to them, but what makes their business relocate there, so their employees have a good city to live in. So, we have to make sure that when we're looking at attracting those types of businesses, we're evaluating where if we are lacking in certain services, whether or adding to our parks department, or just a diversity of, I guess, even all the way to entertainment, to what would allow a business to offer to their employees themselves. So that it's very important that we make sure that when we are looking at attracting all types of businesses, no matter what it is, that the city is a attractive place for that business to locate, but not only for the business, but also those employees that come with those businesses as well.
May I add to that? And yet you are definitely correct in that. I do believe, though, just to add to that, Mr. Newsom, that in regard to that city being attractive, I think that our perception of who Mansfield is today needs to change. And by that I mean, for many years, we have, I think, been in the so glad you're looking at us posture. I think that now, as Mansfield continues to grow, and we have an awesome school district. You're right, that we have one of the most beautiful park systems, in the country, and we have been recognized for that. We're recognized as being one of the safest cities in the country, and that's another thumbs up. Those things are attractive. So then, I think that even our attitude, or our perception, our self-perception, means a lot. One of my weaknesses is this, that, and I've been called out for it, as being the eternal optimist. And because I believe, and in growing up in this city and having walked these streets the past few weeks, and even on cold days like this, you run into people out tending their lawns, from the high-end side of Mansfield, as well as over by Grave Street, where you have those houses, and people are doing the very best they can with what they have. But all of those individuals, they exhibited a level of pride that could choke you up, really, because you see where hardworking people are working to make things happen. And I think that's who we are. I think that through a visioning process, we get to set the tone in that regard. I'd much rather say to a company, let me show you Mansfield. Let me show you, again, what I call, and my predecessor called it this before I did, let me show you the garden spot of the DFW area. We are that. Our infrastructure, of course, we have to keep that up at the forefront as well, because if we don't, then of course we'll fall behind like some of our neighbors did, and we'll have to play catch up. But I really think that with new leadership, there is a vibrance, there is a perception that we would have, that we set our citizenry and we set with them. I really think that helps to make us, as I've said, that attractive date at the dance. It's that person, and I don't want to use sexist language, so it's that person who is getting the invites from the people, who's inviting them to come out on the floor and dance. And I think that's where we are now. And I think that's kind of what we need to communicate, even to our MEDC, as well as to our city manager, and even here at the chamber. We're saying, go get them, and you make them know who we are. I think we're there now. I really do. I've seen us come from that, that country town to now we are, we are Mansfield, and we're Mansfield strong, and that's important.
The part is, is to continue to understand. I mean, over the years, we have moved the city from, where we've been as a small country town where I grew up to the, the bustling city we are today. And, the standards that we've put in place over the years makes Mansfield, unique. We have to continue to work on those standards. We want to make sure that what we attract and Mansfield itself, has that, distinction, because, in part of Tarrant County and as a DFW area continues to grow, the growth is going to ultimately stop going north, because you'll get to where it's too far and it doesn't even make sense, as far as, even commuting. So we are in a key location. We have excellent access to the airport. We have excellent access to larger cities. So from that point of view, we need to make sure that what we're doing is continuing to partner with our, Southeast Tarrant County Transportation Authority, our different organizations that when we're talking about, larger infrastructure. Obviously, we have our internal infrastructure that's with the city itself, but we need to make sure that we are a solid partner in the larger infrastructure, where we're talking about the highway system like Highway 287 or even 360, the connectors that will connect us from 360 all the way to 161 without being able to completely bypass I-20. I think that's imperative for when you're looking to attract businesses. They look at a larger connectivity beyond, the roads within inside the city. So I think we can't lose sight of that. We're working with our partners, and we want to continue to work to make sure that happens.
He brought up a good point regarding that system. And again, that's why I believe that, and I think we differ just a little bit, but we do differ on just our own personal posture. People forget, but because you guys know, because y'all handle our money, people forget that I'm a small business guy myself. And one of the things that I had to do, and Paul Randall was sick of me, he and Lance Walker, as I continue to pitch this idea of a independent living facility for senior adults. It was crazy. We didn't own property. We just, and Paul Randall, he was like, "Are you nuts?" Yeah, maybe. But being a visionary, I think, is where we are today. Think about Mansfield. So here we are, and you mentioned it, and I appreciate you, 287. Few people know that 287, when you go south, can take us all the way to the coast. When you go north, it can take us all the way to Canada almost. That's mind-boggling. So you think about that. In my mind, we control, or we have cards in front of me, we control more of the cards than I think that we really do. We have a better hand in 2020 than we had in 2005 or especially in 1989 when I got here. We have a better hand to play with. So this is what's important to me. I think that recognizing that we have a better hand to play, when companies or industries, when they come to us, Terry Moore is in the room. He and I and Tamara and others of us, we actually picketed an entire company because for whatever reason, they thought that they were going to be able to bring human waste into our city. And that almost passed the council. But when we raised Cain about it, pardon my term, I should be more professional, then they stopped. They didn't do that anymore. I think it has a lot to do with how we identify ourselves. And one of the ways that we best identify ourselves, and we also help our partners to know who we are, is based upon who we demonstrate or show ourselves to be. That's why I believe that almost that business plan, that those vision statements, I think that is so very important, because when I present you, then you say, "Oh, I see what you all have to offer." And we've got some awesome professionals on the staff. We've got some innovative people, I believe, on our council, and especially our investors, who are the taxpayers, and they have some great ideas. And yes, we work with our partners, but I believe, Brent, that we too, yes, we have to work with our partners, but I do believe that now in 2020, we say to our partners, look at what we have to offer. We've got TCC, we've got TCU, we've got UNT, we've got UTD, we've got UTA. Sorry, UTA, you should have been first. That's my alma mater. We have all of them right here, and we have one of the best, again, education systems in the area. So we've got the employees. We just have to determine what kind of jobs we want to develop here. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, you're right.
I'm going to interject because I'm going to throw out something for both of
He's
you
right.
again. Because, you know, a good leader, which both of you running for mayor, you want to be leader of Mansfield, right? So as a leader, your role is not to take people where they want to go, but where they ought to go. And so my question to both of you is, if you had, you know, if you were going to be the dictator, which you're not. I know
That's a bad word. Let me speak for both of us. Don't use that word.
I want to know what
We
is
agree on
your
that.
specific vision. Where do you want to lead? Where do you think? What are your own philosophies, your own vision? What is it? And I'm gonna.
Who wants to go first? Okay, go ahead.
Let's start over and be right here.
Okay, now, where do we want to go? Let's do that. Let's peer into that crystal ball. All right, so what, 5 years, 10 years, which one? Either one? All right, so we believe in regard to our census data that we're probably now at about 80,000 people. 5, 10 years, 100,000. We have 300 and some odd undeveloped acres right now. We get to be picky, you know, and we get to choose. And again, I think that that's important when we talk about the reserves and those kinds of things. Wouldn't it be awesome if that was developed into a beautiful cityscape, almost an urban scape, where individuals who live in this city, they're working at the high-tech jobs that we have just, that we brought into the city. We've got number one in regard to streets, roads, infrastructures. Our kids are able to walk from, to coin a phrase that George Fassett uses, where our kids are able to walk from, you know, their homes to the school on sidewalks. We still have those issues that we need to deal with. So those are things we would want to have. I'm just visioning this thing out. We have a bustling downtown that rivals Grapevine, Frisco, Granbury. I think that's important. Walking down these streets on a Friday, Saturday night, I hear a little country, I hear a little jazz. We've got Shakespeare in the Park on Saturday nights, Sundays, you know, after church. But we've got all that going on here in Mansfield. We have we have a mayor, we have a council that has the reputation of listening to the citizenry and taking in their ideas and helping them to know that we want to hear from them because they matter. We have connectivity with the area transportation industry. Let me tell you something. Why not? I mean, we have the oldest railway trestle in the state, right here, right there, right down the street to the right of me. Why not reinvigorate that? We've got townhomes, we've got apartments coming up right there for individuals who will live downtown. I think that we have people living on the second, third, fourth floors, and we've got shops down on the bottom floors. They can catch the dark train from here and go where they need to go. That's why I would like to lead us. That's why I think that we can go, and let's make it happen. Now, does that sound crazy? He told Clayton that he was crazy for thinking that Methodist Hospital would be able to sustain itself. And it is, and now we have Texas Health Resources. Is that crazy? They told me that we were nuts for thinking that we could build a 135,000 square foot facility, totally rented out with over 850 people on the waiting list. That's a true fact. So it's a lot of crazy things that have come up in this peanut head of mine, but I tell you what, it's come to fruition. And that's where I want to take us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about the future for Mansfield. We have a citizenry that is an active group that want to be involved, and that's really, really key to make sure that you continue to figure out ways to engage our community. We want to be able to do things. I mean, I've been good for example, I've been really good friends, with a gentleman that's on the board of regents out at Texas Tech. His name's Chris Huckabee. And, through talking with him, years ago, we had floated the idea of even trying to do something like bringing a nursing school to Mansfield. And we just couldn't figure out, a way to get it done. And about a year ago, before COVID started, we if we hadn't, we probably would be a little bit further along in this process. But I floated the idea to him again. Hey, let's talk about this now. I mean, you're the chair of the board of regents out there now at Tech. What do we need to do to get that nursing school to Mansfield? So, working back then with John Phillips, now Juan Fresquez, getting those individuals together and trying to figure out a plan of what do we need to do from the city's perspective to help facilitate these projects, because that's the key. Working with your individuals. I know Michael referred to 287 going from the north to the south. I mean, there's a project that that I've helped go down to Austin and actually speak with our legislators on what's called Texas 21, and that's the project that Texas has identified all the way to the Port of Galveston to continue to increase that. So there will be an avenue of transportation that incorporates 287, and we're right smack dab in the middle of that. So we have to be able to continue to work with our partners, to make sure that projects and opportunities like that just don't fall by the wayside. When you talk about a vision, your vision has to not only look at your citizens here and the citizens of Mansfield, but also being able to continue to partner and collaborate with individuals outside the city, because we're really excellent at working internally, making sure that what we're doing is working. The way we continue to grow our city, the plan that we put in place over the years has allowed us, even this last year, to get to a homestead exemption for the first time, which was 10%, including a tax rate cut, which is great not only for our citizens but our business community as well. So being able to continue and perpetuate those types of projects, increasing that homestead exemption, for our citizens, and also still adding those services, still hiring our police, our fire, all the other support staff throughout the city, adding our 5th fire station, remodeling our police station, adding 5,000 square foot to our library. All those are still able to be accomplished and still have a good, solid, fiscal, responsible council. And from the mayor's perspective, we're all still, that position's still one vote. We all have to be a collaborative group as far as when we're evaluating projects, evaluating investment within inside the city, to make sure that what that looks like is the best for the entire city as a whole. We can't worry about if we're going to be pitting one side of town versus the other side of town. We have to look at what is good for everybody in the city of Mansfield.
You know what? You're going to make me holler. I mean, I'm going to shout for joy, because for years and years and years, we've been preaching that same sermon. Here we are in Mansfield, and I've again been walking these streets, and for years, when I was much younger, the west side for me was only West Broad Street. As I grew and as I came to know the citizenry of Mansfield, west is now anything west of 360, now west of 287, and Mr. Newsom he's dead on. What we've had, though, in regard to our administration, is that we have seen that imbalance. And you're right, it is only one vote. Many of us have been behind that dais, shouting, hollering, crying for so many years, saying that we have thousands, tens of thousands of residents who live down Debbie Lane. And those individuals, people live behind Legacy High School. They still don't have grocery stores over there. Now I'm not talking about shanty homes, with all due respect. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. What I'm saying, I'm talking about people who live in $300,000-$400,000 homes who don't have immediate access. That versus what we've seen the last 10, 12 years. I mean, even up to now, where when we drive the other direction, I mean, we've got shops and restaurants on top of each other, and the traffic is crazy near one of our larger schools, which is scary to me. So that is a good word. It is good to hear. My only pushback would be, when we get the opportunity to sit in these seats, whether we are in the majority or not, I'm just saying, if those are issues of the heart, that whether my other colleagues are with me or not, they still need to know by way of my vote. They need to know by way of the discussion that I'm having, that packing all of the development on one side of the city is not right. It's not fair. And it's good to hear my colleagues say that. And again, my only deal is, boy, we should have been needing that, for a long time. That's all I'm saying. And
I don't.
yes, sir.
Yeah, 100% don't disagree. We got to figure out how we're going to approach that. Generally speaking, all the city is already zoned, so we already know, what that development looks like, unless of course somebody comes in and requests a change. But when you're looking at investment in the city, and if you're talking about looking at, depending on where that development occurs, the development occurs ultimately based on what is attracting that commercial to that specific spot. So are we going to ask the citizens of Mansfield, if that development isn't coming, or if those grocery stores aren't coming on the west side of town, are we going to lead with incentivizing that from the city's perspective? And I don't think that's the answer. I think that investment follows the rooftops, and as our city continues to grow, since we are actually only 77% built out, as those developments continue to come on the books, that's what's going to continue to attract that business investment, because they will follow those rooftops. I don't think we should be in a position from a council's perspective to force in a development that's not ready to happen yet. I just don't think it's fiscally responsible to do so.
That's a good word. Let me say this though. Yes, sir, I hear you loud. And I've been hearing, you and I have had these conversations before we were running against each other. And ladies and gentlemen, we do like each other, by the way. But so let's think about that. I've heard that for 30 years. Okay, going back to Corbin and Tom Ritter, and now when we see each other, we hug each other. But when I was 25, 26, I wasn't hugging anybody. but I'm older now. Here's what I do know. The mayor and the council, we are strategists. We receive intel from the citizens, and there are some things that work, and there are some things that don't. Me and you know that real well, and especially serving on the school board and Tarrant County College. However, there are a lot of things that do work. And it's kind of like UPS. I worked for UPS as a kid, 19 years old, first supervisor's job. UPS built from the bottom up. What that meant was, and not to be condescending, I'm talking to those listening to us, Brent, I know that you know, that hourly employee gave ideas to the supervision, who passed it up to admin. And this I know that you know. I still believe that those people who live west of 360, west of 287, that they're astute enough to know, with all due respect, what their needs are. And as strategists and as their advocates, which we get to be, because again, and for those who don't know, our city is run, day-to-day administration is the city manager. And we both know that. But I get to advocate on behalf of everybody, those who voted for me and even those who didn't. And I think a part of our advocacy is to say, we get to shape the narrative though. Now, maybe not, there's some things, somebody might want a sky taxi. We can't do that. But we get to shape the narrative. And we also control more than people know what some of that zoning looks like. For example, downtown, it would be good to have a downtown overlay, which would be awesome, because if we have a downtown overlay, then those who own some of these buildings, they would have just a little bit more say into the usage of those buildings. Now, of course, we have a say in them as well. Now it's council and mayor does. But if you just have straight zoning, then that kind of ties the hands of your small business people. That kind of ties the hands of entrepreneurs. And again, being a small business guy, we paid $161,000 in property taxes this year. We pay $400,000 in impact fees. So this isn't anything I read in the book. This is money that we paid out. I think I'd like to be able to say just a little bit more about that zoning and let the people know that they've been listened to. But I hear what you're saying, I've heard, but I think we've got a lot of rooftops out there. And I think that people will go to grocery stores, to a HEB or something. I think they'll do that.
You're right in the sense that, when those rooftops are there, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a market expert.
Yes,
I'm not at all. I think the ones who ultimately, whether it is stores like HEB or whomever it is,
yes.
I think they have a pretty good understanding of, where they want to locate. I'm glad you're on board with the overlay, for downtown. We've been working on that for a number of years, to adjust what that is, because I think it's imperative in, historical areas like the city of Mansfield and the downtown area, that we give those property owners some advantageous ability
Yes.
to redevelop those properties
Yes.
that have some flexibility that maybe a new construction doesn't have the need to have, and wouldn't necessarily be appropriate. Those zoning cases are important because, when you buy a home in the city of Mansfield and you have zoning next to you, you have some sort of an expectation of how that's going to develop.
Yes.
And so we have to be very careful if and when we decide to make a zoning change, because, we have the responsibility to be advocates for those citizens, not only that are next to that commercially zoned property, but all the citizens of Mansfield, and being attuned to what those needs and desires are. There's been a number of people said that they wish they had more access to grocery stores. When I say west side of town, I tend to think more so Business 287 or Main Street, even though the west side of the central part of town is continuing to move eastward. But I've had just, ironically, a large number that says, no, we don't want additional commercial development over here. We like the more rural nature of this part of town. That's why we moved here in the first place. So you have to also be cognizant of those, those different points of view, because there's always going to be, sometimes a disconnect between what one citizen wants versus what the other one does.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Moving on. Next one.
All right, so on our time.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do now is I want to give each of you an opportunity to kind of give any closing statement that you want to. Draw your card for who goes first, and we'll finish on that note. So, all right.
I have a lot of face cards.
Yes, man, you got it going on. Look, it's okay.
So, like I said, I'm really excited about, the opportunity to continue, as mayor from my council seat. Mansfield's an exciting place to be right now. And I want to make sure that, as being part of that we are able to have a idea of in continuing the upward path of the city of Mansfield, and not only for our citizens, but also for our business community. I know I've been very excited to be part of this council for a number of years. And I know that I have the respect of our current council, past council, our current city administration, our past city administration, which is important to me, because, it says to me that not only am, I feel like I'm a good council person, but they also have the confidence in the decisions and, my thought process behind, what my opinions may be on a certain thing. But the key, it all boils down to listening to our citizens. And we have a lot of great projects that we're working on and starting to implement that we've been heavily part of, reaching out to organizations in our city, and whether it's our homeowners associations or our parent associations, or even our realtors, bringing them in and having those conversations with inside the city with city staff and just keeping those lines of communication open. I think some other things that there's one thing that I think there's a great opportunity for the mayor to do that is unique to the mayor. And growing up as a family of educators, education is extremely important to me. And one of the things I have, through the early voting process and, talking to our citizens as they go to vote is committing to establishing a mayor's council for students. And, that mayor's council for students is something where we would bring in our high school students on a regular basis to where they meet, with the council, they meet with the city staff, so they get a good understanding of their local government. Because in my opinion, your local government is truly the most important and impactful piece of government that for everybody's lives on a day-to-day basis. And I think we're missing that opportunity, to be able to expose our students to that. I mean, because at that point, you're not only exposing them to their city government, but you're also exposing them to opportunities, even job opportunities, because a lot of people wonder, okay, what are we going to do as the city continues to grow? How do we continue to maintain that hometown feel? Well, one of the things that we can do is what are we doing as a city to perpetuate those students that grow up here to come back and want to raise their families here as well? So being able to at least get them exposed to opportunities within the side of the city, because most people think, okay, well, there's police, there's fire, and there's roads, and there's a lot more than that. There's a city, there's an engineering department, there's the parks department, there's all sorts of opportunities out there for our students to be to even look at their city as a place that they can come back and raise their family as well. So we got to continue to make sure that we are working those connections. Really excited about where we are, really excited about where we're going. We have right now so much opportunity, with our growth that's coming in, to make sure that we are selective in the opportunities that we evaluate. I mean, there's a lot of energy around our city, especially in the Broad Street area between 360 and 287. So we want to make sure that we continue to capitalize on that, because by capitalizing on that allows us to continue that program we had in place, to which is still to this day the most important conversation to have with each person on a day-to-day basis is figuring out the ways to reduce tax burdens to our citizens. And as we grow that commercial, industrial sales tax base, that's how we're going to accomplish that. I mean, it's exciting. You talk about Mansfield and being Mansfield strong. One of the things that most people may not realize is, our budgetary expectations, just from the sales tax piece was nearly $750,000 in excess of what we anticipated for this year. So what does that tell me as a council member? That means everybody is focusing locally. So they're doing what they need to do to continue to support our local small businesses and our community, to where they are staying here in Mansfield and spending their dollars here. So when you're looking at a year-over-year growth in your sales tax base of 19%, that's exciting, because that shows me that the programs that we were putting in place are working, and that's key to make sure that continues.
Sure. All right, Lord, let me thank you, and again, I want to thank Brent. It's and this sounds nuts, but he's been a good person to run against. One of the things that people don't see is how we interact at the polls. When we say Mansfield strong, we mean that, and our citizenry needs to see, and they need to know that, and we haven't been shy about sharing and saying that to people. So it's been an honor, and also my privilege. Listen, I want to thank not only you, Lori, but all those who continue to support us. It's really been my privilege, as I think about serving here in town. I see Chief Lehman is here. I've had the opportunity to serve in this city on a lot of issues behind the scenes, whether it's been economic development, community development, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement with Chief Aaron. I was blessed with the opportunity to work with Chief Nooncaster, and again, with our former mayor, Andy Wynn, who gave me the opportunity to co-chair the Blue Ribbon Committee on Health Affairs for our particular county precinct. So I appreciate that. It's been a blessing also and a privilege of mine to serve on school board for those 3 terms. And again, I appreciate that. I would appreciate the opportunity to bring that expertise to City Hall. Also to not only do that, but I'm noted as a bridge builder. I do build bridges, and we work together. And I think any person that you would interview, ask them about me, they would tell you that, and that's important. And you are right in regard to gaining the respect of colleagues and citizenry. That goes by not just by the words that we say, but it definitely goes by the things that we do. And it's been my honor. You know, I kind of feel like a homer in that I do believe that it's Mansfield first. I do believe that you have to hear from and listen to your citizenry. And we've done that. We've done that in every elected position that I've had the opportunity to serve in. And many of you out there who will have to make this decision, if I earn your vote, you know, you'll get the same thing. Also, there's a level of vibrancy, I think, that comes with us promoting our city. And I think that is an exciting, we are in an exciting time. And you're right now, but I do want to say something about those sales tax dollars. I went to Sam's the other day and couldn't find any paper towels. So I think that those sales tax dollars went up because people bought up all the toilet paper and all that stuff during the pandemic. So I like to see us earn our money in other ways. So y'all save us, if you would, just not buy up all the toilet paper. I think that's important. I do think this too. I think that our citizens are very astute. And thank you all, as I have been able to walk the streets of this city. Those of you who have even offered us water. My age showed, you know, on some of those days. We appreciate you. But I believe, and I know my colleague believes the same thing, that we owe you. We owe you because you are investors here. Your interests are number one. And we appreciate that. You know, I was thinking the other day, Lori, you know, no matter what happens, still get the opportunity to serve in a great city and to serve with great people. One of the things that I've said to all of our quote unquote opponents is that I'm with you because it's about Mansfield. I just want to be the person that will help to lead that charge as we continue to move forward. I think that a fresh perspective is important, and we need to do that now. I think we need to lead from our advantages rather than from our historical point of view or perspectives. We used to be that small town, but now we are that garden spot in Texas. I want to be your guy. And if you want to learn more about me, just go to evansformansfield.com or go to Evans for Mansfield Facebook. But again, I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me this time. And thank you for being a good opponent, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lori.